This is Barrels and Barrels, a bourbon and baseball podcast, with your hosts, Brandon Spinner and Michael Burns.
And welcome into Barrels and Barrels, a bourbon and baseball podcast. This is our Week 16 Power Rankings episode, which you can exclusively find here on YouTube. So before we get any further, don't forget to hit that subscribe button below. I am Brandon, one of your co-hosts, alongside one of my good buddies, Michael Burns. He's another one of your co-hosts tonight. And this Week 16 Power Rankings has a sponsor. This week's sponsor, going forward, our top 10 Power Rankings will be brought to you by 10th Mountain Whiskey Spirits Company. So go head on over to 10thwhiskey.com to go buy yourself one of their bottles of their award-winning whiskeys. 10th Mountain out of Colorado, Vail, Colorado. And don't forget, as you go buy that, use the promo code BNB. That gets you 10% off anything you order, whether that's apparel like their hats or some of their award-winning whiskey. They've got a rye, they've got a bourbon, they've also got a very good brandy, they've got potato vodka, as well as a mountain cordial, as well as Clear Mountain Moonshine. So go check them out, 10th Mountain Whiskey. That is 10thwhiskey.com. Don't forget the promo code BNB for 10% off your order. So that's it. We're at the start of the top 10 Power Rankings. Michael Burns, real quick, how are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. I pitched tonight. I did pretty good. My arm felt good. We're good, baby. We're good. We're excited.
I've got some of my 10th Mountain Whiskey, and we're going to jump right into this week's top 10 Power Rankings. A big shakeup. We only had 3 games, really, for a lot of these teams. The Phillies and the Padres played 4, but I do think that there's a lot of movement within our top 10. So let's jump right into it. Michael Burns, who is your 10th team this week as we start Week 16?
Yeah, my 10th team is a team that was in my top 10 last week. It's the Philadelphia Phillies, falling from 9 to 10 and rounding out my top 10. The Phillies took 3 of 4 from San Diego. San Diego's not the best team, but we had some teams who had a great weekend, and that's why Philly's my team number 10.
So you had Philly dropping, even though they went 3-1. Wow. My 10th team is a team that I had ranked 4th last week. The Arizona Diamondbacks fall all the way down to 10th on my list. They got swept this weekend. They're now on a 4-game losing streak, 52-42. They're down 6 in my standings. Here's the deal. They're now down to 3rd place in the NL West, but they are last in runs scored in the month of July. Out of all baseball teams, they are last with 31 runs scored so far through the first 16 days. So the Arizona Diamondbacks are my 10th team. Michael, who do you have at number 9?
At 9, I have a new team to my top 10 this week. It is the Boston Red Sox. Boston Red Sox led the weekend this weekend in home runs with 7 home runs. They took 2 of 3 from the Cubs.
I got to be there for one of those.
You got to be there for one of those. You for the first one, right?
Yep.
Boston win. But out of those, a nice surprise that the Red Sox have been waiting for all season, Tristan Casas with 3 home runs this weekend against the Cubs. And if he goes, he's just one of the pieces that they're missing.
So I had the Red Sox 11th last week. They remain 11th this week because of another team that I had jump into the top 10. Team that's in first place solely now, the Milwaukee Brewers. They are 7-3 in their last 10 games. They're up 5 spots in my power rankings. Last week they were down in 13th. They're now in 9th. So it looks like they jumped up 4. My math is not great. They did get a sweep of, at that time, the first place Cincinnati Reds in Cincinnati. Their ERA here in July, 8th best among Major League Baseball teams. They're on a 4-game winning streak, all 4 of those wins coming against the Reds, and they have won 7 out of their last 10, 52-42 all of a sudden, 10 games above 500 for the Milwaukee Brewers.
Yeah, I can just ditto all of that. I've got Milwaukee 1 spot higher in the 8th spot. The Red Hot Reds they came to town and it was all the what was that, 5 games, 6 games? Was that split between Milwaukee and Cincinnati? Or is that
What
all
are you
in
talking about?
Cincinnati? They right before the All-Star break, they
Oh, they
played.
played 3 in Milwaukee, and the Brewers
Okay.
won the final one after the Reds won the first 2, and then the Brewers just swept them here in Cincinnati.
Yeah. So I'm right there with you about Milwaukee. I've got them one spot higher, and I got them jumping 7 spots from last week, all the way from 15.
Yeah, I had them jump up 4. Another team that I have jumping up into 8th this week. They're up 1 spot. Last week I had them at 9th. The Philadelphia Phillies, I had them go up a spot. They went 3-1 over the weekend. They've got a positive run differential. That Phillies team is playing really good baseball. They're 51-42 right now. You said the Padres aren't a great team, but they had been playing very good baseball. And the Padres have the second best ERA since the middle of June. And the Phillies still came back. And they had a big comeback win today versus the Padres. So the Phillies jump up to 8th in my standings. Michael Burns, who is your 7th team?
7th team, I've got a team that was my 10th last week. So it is the San Francisco Giants moving up 3 spots. The Giants swept Pittsburgh, and that glorious April that Pittsburgh had is just dwindling further and further. But yeah, San Francisco Giants. Logan Webb had is looking fantastic. I'm just excited for this trade deadline to see what these guys are all going to add.
In my 7th spot, the Los Angeles Dodgers go up another spot. They were 8th last week. They're 7th this week. 53-38 is second best record in the National League. 5th best in baseball. They did just lose Game 3 today against the Mets. So 2-1 this weekend, but they lost to the Mets. They didn't get the sweep. If they would have gotten the sweep, they probably would have been in my top 5. But they did not complete the sweep of the Mets, so they're sitting at 7th. Michael Burns, who's your 6th team?
6, I've got the Toronto Blue Jays jumping all the way into my top 10 from 14 to 6.
Because you didn't have them ranked the right way last week. Just saying.
Yeah, they swept Arizona, and they led the weekend in all of baseball with a 364 batting average, and they only struck out 11 times against Arizona, 11 times all weekend. That says something about Arizona's pitching.
Yeah, their pitching has been great as well. Toronto overall. Houston is my 6th team. They were 7th for me last week. They took 2-3 from the Angels this weekend. They didn't look uber impressive as they did blow the lead on Saturday and lost in extras, but then they had a big 9th inning comeback Sunday night to take the series 2-1. They're 52-42. That's good enough for 5th in the American League. Only a couple of games back from Texas, who is first in their division. They're 3 games back at Texas. They blew that big lead on Saturday, but they're still a very good ball team. They're missing a couple of players, Abreu as well as Framber, and they're still stacking W's, 10 games above 500. So the Houston Astros are my 6th team.
Yeah, Houston should have had that game in extras in their pocket, and they threw it away. Literally threw it away.
So who do you have at 5?
In 5 is the same team as last week, is the Los Angeles Dodgers at 5. I almost had them in my 4th spot until they lost this final game against the Mets. I could move them up in front of my 4th team because of that. But staying stagnant, the Los Angeles Dodgers at the first place NL West Dodgers at number 5.
My 5th team is a team you just talked about, the Toronto Blue Jays, 8-2 in their last 10 games. They are one of the biggest movers on my standings. They went from 10th last week to 5th this week. They're 53-41, so 12 games above 500, 4-game winning streak. Their run differentials plus 44. In the month of July, their ERA is the 4th best among all teams in the league. So they're pitching great. Their hitting is going to need to be coming around here. They're not that great in the clutch, but they got 3 big wins against a good Arizona Diamondbacks team who has been reeling as of late, but still the Diamondbacks were tied for first coming into this weekend. So a good team coming in, and you swept them at home, and now they've got a big series this week versus the San Diego Padres. So the Toronto Blue Jays are my 5th team. Who do you have at number 4?
Number 4, the Texas Rangers moving back up into the top 4 for me as they spent a lot of the season. They swept Cleveland. They've still got the great run differential. I almost had LA go in front of them until the sweep didn't happen against New York. But go ahead.
No, I was just going to say I also have Texas at fourth. They jumped back from sixth last week, 55-39. They've got one of the best run differentials in baseball, the best run differential in all of baseball right now at plus 159. Hard to go against them in the top five, especially after you get a big sweep this past weekend.
Yeah, so moving into number 3, Brandon, I've got a new number 3 from last week, and that's the Tampa Bay Rays. Dropping from second last week to third. They have not been playing great ball lately. They did win their series against the Kansas City Royals, but my number 2 team has just been playing much better. How about you? Who do you got at 3?
I also have the Tampa Bay Rays at third. They're 3-7 in their last 10. They did, as you mentioned, win the series versus Kansas City, but they lost Game 3, and it was by a lot. It was 8-4, and they were down 8-0 at one point. They are the first American League team to 60 wins, but they have not played great baseball over the last couple of weeks. They still have one of the best run differentials in all of baseball at plus 152, 60-36. But when you lose to the Kansas City Royals and the team that's chasing you gets a big sweep over the weekend of an also great team so far this year, you go down a spot. And I almost had them down a spot last week, but the team that we both have at second, I assume, is a team that overtook them and is getting close to overtaking them in the standings.
Yeah, who's that number 2 team that we both have?
Let's say it at the same time. 3, 2, 1. Baltimore Orioles. Yeah, the Baltimore Orioles.
8-game win streak, baby.
8-game win streak. They sweep the Marlins. Did you see how crazy Camden Yards was going on Saturday night?
From Gunnar Henderson smoking that ball?
Gunnar Henderson hit a bomb. Anthony Santander hit his 100th career home run on Sunday. Second best ERA in baseball in the month of July, and they're not known for their pitchers.
No, that's something I think they could really use is pitching.
Yeah, you mentioned it already. 8 wins in a row. They're 57-35. The Tampa Bay Rays are 60-36. So they have one less loss than the Rays. The Rays have one more loss. They have 3 less wins. So that equates to 1 game back in the standings, I believe.
Yep.
So
You're
they're
correct.
right there. They're playing better baseball than the Rays over the last few weeks, so that is why the Baltimore Orioles sneak in the number 2 overall in my power rankings, and that means we both have the same team right there at the top, the Atlanta Braves.
Yes, we do. They didn't have a great weekend against the White Sox.
Mm-hmm.
They even, I think, got outscored by them overall.
Oh, they got crushed on Sunday, 8-1, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Still the best record in the majors.
Even if you would have thought, oh, hey, well, they had a bad weekend, but they still, scored runs and maybe just had a big blowout loss. No, I think the White Sox outscored them overall in the series. But hey, they had how many guys travel to Seattle? And,
6 of them, and it was a long trip. They went from Tampa all the way to Seattle, and then they had to go back from Seattle basically all the way to Atlanta, which is nearly just as far.
Yeah, so let's give those guys. They got Monday the 17th off. So maybe they'll go into Arizona or coming back home and play in Arizona to start the week.
Big series for the Diamondbacks there. They don't want to lose any more ground after losing quite a bit of ground over the weekend. As I mentioned, I had Boston in 11th. Cincinnati fell 7 spots in my rankings down to 12th, and then I had San Francisco in 13th. They are close to the top 10. I just think that since they were down at 17th for me last week, I think I wasn't sure that I needed them in my top 10. They've got a big series this week versus the Reds in Cincinnati, a 4-game set. So by the end of this week, I'm sure we'll have a big shakeup yet again in our top 10 power rankings.
Yeah, this was quite the shakeup for just a weekend of baseball. Some big movers. I mean, series sweeps happened, and yeah, you wouldn't expect that from just 4 games.
Yeah, we had one weekend of games to change our rankings, and we had a lot of shuffling going on, and that's how it is. We're getting here into the middle of the season. We're past halfway. We're getting to the dog days, or a couple of weeks away from the trade deadline, which is going to shake things up even more. And speaking of shaking it up, we've got a new sponsor for our top 10 power rankings. Our guys over at 10th Mountain Whiskey. Go check them out. 10thwhiskey.com. If you head into the shop, use promo code BNB and you get 10% off your entire order. That includes anything on whiskey, where they have brandy, bourbon, hat. They've got apparel. They've also got bitters and anything you'd like to mix in your drink as well. So go check out our friends, 10th Mountain Whiskey Company. That is 10th Mountain Whiskey and Spirits Company out of Vail, Colorado. Michael Burns, what are you excited about for baseball this week?
I'm just glad baseball's back. That All-Star break, I thought there was too many days off. It seemed like they should have had. It seemed like baseball should have been back a day earlier than it was.
Yeah.
And there was no sports, zero sports, no basketball, no football, no baseball, no hockey. Nothing was going on. I was just like, what do I do?
Well, it's back. We're back, and we're going to continue to bring you as much content as we can. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button on YouTube. You can find our regular podcasts on Spotify, Apple, as well as any other platform you stream podcasts, even right here on YouTube. Again, don't forget to hit that subscribe button below. That has been Week 16's Power Rankings, brought to you by 10th Mountain Whiskey Company. Michael Burns, do you have anything for our friends, families, and viewers?
Let's go.